Well, now it's time for the compound men's team gold medal match. The team lineups here again, familiar story. The teams that haven't had to travel too far doing very well. Colombia versus Mexico.
Juan Fernando Bonilla, Pablo Gómez Zuluaga y Daniel Muñoz. En la diana número 2 y representando a México, Miguel Becerra, Antonio Hidalgo y Uriel Olvera.
So there we have the two lineups. World number 9, Daniel Munoz, leading things out for Colombia, along with Fernando Bonilla, who's 26, and the 18-year-old Pablo Gómez Zuluaga. An interesting lineup for the Colombians. It's a young team from Mexico as well. World number 48, Antonio Hidalgo, is lining up with Miguel Becerra, who's 20 years old, and Uriel Oliveira, who we don't actually have an age for. He's not even on the ranking list, but you just have to take a look at him. He is young.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the big upset here was on the way through, Colombia took out the USA, so, you know, they're on fire right now. USA came back to win the bronze, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on in this match.
Yeah, that's a very good point. USA with a full lineup as well. Galantine, Schaff and Wild ranked number 1. And wow, it was a relatively comfortable win for Colombia in the semi-finals. 232 plays 228. Can they maintain this against the Mexican team here on the shooting line, ready for end number 1?
Just slightly off to the left there, so I'm not sure where they're shooting before they come into the venue. Sometimes you shoot in a practice field that might be in a different direction, so that can change things as the first arrow goes in on the actual field. Nicely centered there.
You can see the wind's picked up again. It's coming from behind this time. Just drifting left to right. Oh, that's a lovely shot though.
Pretty much dead center. If you look carefully in the middle of the target face, there's a little X. We like to call that the spider.
So leading out with their key man here, Daniel Munoz.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to either start or finish with one of your strongest competitors. He might actually switch. They can change the order up here. He started with a 10, really nice and solid.
So he might shoot first and last, perhaps?
He could do, yeah. He could open up here on this first end. As long as each of them shoot 1 arrow each per, you know, end, we're going to switch between them, alternate between the teams. But the next time we go back to that team, they could be in a different order. So you could start with your strongest competitor and you could finish with that one as well at the very end.
Should be interesting. Putting the teenager Gómez Zuluaga in the middle.
Yeah, the middle was the most protected position, so you know you're just between your teammates, nice and sandwiched, which is a nice, comfortable place to be. They can give you feedback, what's going on out in the field. So yeah, you normally put your weaker archer in the middle, but not always.
Solid shot there.
You can see the teams counting each other down, so they can see a clock. They've got 20 seconds each really to shoot. I mean, they can move over that a little bit, but obviously then you've got to think about the last person on the line. If you've used up all the time and they've only got 10 seconds left, then that puts a lot of pressure on. So it's good to stay in around your 20 seconds if you can.
Wow, we didn't quite see where that went. They've called it a 10 in venue. Fist bumps all around for the teams, putting their masks back on. So leading out with Munoz again.
You can see as well they've shot on different target faces. So again, as long as you've got one arrow from each archer in, well, 3 arrows in each face actually. So it doesn't matter who shoots on which face. You can decide. So we can see a slightly different order there. The other team decided to shoot 3 in one face, move across. These guys have alternated a little bit on their faces. Get a bit crowded in there if we only gave them one face between them all.
Difficult for the target judge as well. Long hold here. Bonilla not happy, and that's drifted out into the 8. So having scored 4 10s to start off this end, the Colombian team drop 3 points in the last 2 arrows for a 57.
Yeah, he just didn't seem to be able to get the shot going, did he? So a long hold, waiting for the release aid to go, and it just didn't want to go. So, you know, it's just cost them dearly, isn't it, on that last shot?
Right, Nikki, it's been 18 months since we've been able to watch this level of archery. Tell us a little bit more. Explain a little bit more. You said he couldn't seem to get the shot going, and you mentioned he couldn't get the release aid to go. Just for the new people to archery, what are you talking about there?
So the compound archers here, they're holding a release aid in that backhand on the string. That is going to trigger the string to be released. So there's a couple of different ways they can do that. You can see the thumb wrapped around like a little trigger there basically. So sometimes it's done with back tension where it's slowly pulled. Sometimes you can sort of actively see them squeezing the trigger as well. So you know, I sort of call that like a process. They're up there at full draw, he's got his thumb, can you see now he's just about to put his thumb around it? Oh, and he punched it. Okay, so we can see a difference here between the archers. The first one was more of a back tension release, he hooked around and then he made that squeeze, whereas that last shot we just saw there was, it was up, his thumb was away, and then suddenly he punched it.
And that's a deliberate move from that archer, that's not a mistake, that's their part of their process, right?
Yeah, that's the way he's shooting, so he is shooting a conscious shot, we'd say. He's deciding, I'm going to shoot now, whereas the more popular method, I would say, is an unconscious shot.
So just feeling it, feeling when to let go.
Yeah, wrapping your thumb around the release aid and then really focusing on like a back tension, like a pressure from the front hand to the back hand, and that just makes the shot break.
Well, there we go. Return to archery lesson from Nikki Hunt there. Just what's needed. We get into end number 2, and it's Colombia trailing. They'll shoot first in this gold medal match.
Continuo en línea, continuo en línea. Bien, bien, bien. Bordeando 10 izquierda. Listo, listo.
Watching his thumb, and he just saw him punch it again. So different techniques. That one didn't work out for him. Got a 9 there. And this one wrapping thumb around and then more of a back tension squeeze. Didn't like the shot though. You can just tell from the expressions, you know, he wasn't on the gold there. It just didn't feel right for him, and ended in as a 9.
And you do get that immediate reaction, but I sometimes get distracted when they shoot a 10 and they've pulled a face.
Yeah.
That still gets me every time.
You can get to the level where you shoot what feels like a bad shot and still hit the 10. Like this is the level that some of these guys are at, you know. Nice, well-timed shot. Looked like it caught the line.
Certainly called a 10 in venue.
Again, nice solid shot, nice back tension. And the Mexicans just looking quite confident now. Got into their rhythm.
Doesn't look happy, does he, Daniel Munoz?
No, as a team, they're just not working. You know, they just look uncomfortable at the moment. They've got to regroup a little bit, keep talking to each other.
Yeah, otherwise it can start to fall apart. Now that is the youngster, that's Pablo Gomez Zuluaga. I suppose in some respects he hasn't got as much pressure on him. His teammates sitting either side of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's still feeling pressure, isn't he? You know, he's young, they're trying to shelter him, protect him as much as possible, but when it's the first time on your stage like this, you know, the pressure can get to you, and the technique which we talked about he's using where he's punching a little bit, that can really break down under pressure, and that's a key point, really. So to any compounders out there, I would urge you, go out and learn a subconscious shot, squeezing the trigger, back tension release, you know, under pressure. I feel, and most archers do feel, that's the best shot.
Lovely shot there, and of course you are heavily involved in coaching archery in the UK.
Yeah, I've been coaching since I retired from shooting myself back in 2016, so yeah, coaching both recurve and compound archers.
So they got within inside their 10 seconds, but a 4-point lead now for the Mexican team, and they just, without really seeing too much evidence of anything in particular, they just are operating as a unit. Even as they move around each other, it seems just a little bit more natural, and they're just a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, you know, the whole kind of feel of the team is just more relaxed, isn't it? The Colombians, you can just see the body language has dropped a little bit, and it's really important when things aren't going well. You just got to reset, forget that arrow, it's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. Get back together as a team, help each other out, you know, offer advice if you can, and get back into your routine.
We take a look back here, just solid up to the line. It's almost emotionless support from each other. They're just keeping each other ticking along nicely, but you can see then the other side of the shooting line, there's distraction in the team setup for Colombia. Retrieve the arrows, and as Nicky said, you know, they've just got to wipe the slate clean and start again. There's a 4-point difference. You'd still rather be in the Mexican shoes, but that's not unassailable.
Absolutely. It is not over until it's over, so you've just got to keep in your normal routine, keep your process going, and, you know, there is a little bit of wind, like I say, it's not a massively windy day where anything could happen, but you've just got to keep going. It's not over till it's over.
Colombia 111 puntos, vaca número 2, México 116 puntos, y nos vamos para la tercera serie.
Seguimos trabajando bien, relajados.
Inicia disparando, vaca número 1, Colombia.
Well, they're just looking on and waiting for the range to be clear. There is the second bell. It's time for end number 3 of this compound men's team gold medal match.
Buen gancho continuo ahí, cómodo, solo zona.
Constantly talking to his teammate, isn't he? He's probably just offering a bit of support. You know, sometimes it's nice to have a certain word said over and over again. It might be, you know, strong, keep it strong. We hear a lot of the archers saying to other team members. This is where the support is really needed. Young archer, you can look at his thumb again. You can see the movement, you know, you can see the difference in that shot. He's doing ever so well. He's got a bit to learn, and he's going to be a great archer, I know, but, you know, you can just see the differences in the shot.
There's a side on, just dropping into the 9, but a good start from the Colombians. Just dropping 1 point in the first 3 arrows. Just looking a little bit more confident. If one of them's looking slightly less confident still, it's Daniel Munoz, the world number 9. Hidalgo leading out the team for the Mexicans now.
It looked pretty solid. He wasn't very happy with that, obviously being a 9, but there was nothing there that looked unusual.
Vera putting it in the same place. And the third member of the Mexican team, Miguel Becerra.
Muy bien. Muy bien, Miguelito, ¿eh? Estás trabajando muy bien, hijo.
So for me, that's 1 point claim back for the Colombians in the first half of this third end.
Vamos derecho.
Hablamos, hablamos.
Yeah, they just need to try and apply the pressure. Got to get some tens here.
On the line.
I think we'll have to wait for a judge call on that one. It looked pretty close.
They called that a 9 in venue.
Yeah. Watch the thumb.
Vamos derecha, Toño, ¿eh?
10.
Got a 10.
Bajarle un toquecito. Mucho tiempo, cómodo, vamos, buen gancho.
This is better, isn't it? Much nearer the centre.
Yeah, I think also that's 3 10s in the second half. We are going to have to go to a measure for Gomez Zuluaga's shot, but to me it looked good. Sorry, for Munez's shot was the first one of the 3 that was for the measure. Here, Hidalgo dropping another point for the Mexicans. They are opening the door here for Colombia, or perhaps it's the Colombians shooting first have done their job and put the pressure on the Mexicans. Well, grouping's good, but that's another 9. Miguel Becerra here. Do with getting another 10. He's drifted out into the 9, so that is 5 points dropped from a potential total.
Avanzando, vamos a ver resultado oficial. Colombia en las últimas
So 55, I've got the Mexicans marked as, and 59. So if that Munez second shot is marked up to a 10, we could be all square here.
Oh, it's going to get exciting. Got to wait for this measure, but oh, what a final end we're going to have here.
Well, I mean, even if it's marked as a 9, they've clawed back 3 of the 4-point deficit. An amazing performance from the Colombians. When it looked like they were all lost at sea, they've managed to put some pressure on their Mexican teammates, opponents I should say. Let's take a look back here. Munoz just looking, well, he's still not looking happy, but his shot, for me, it was 2 10s, potentially a 10 and a 9. And Juan Fernando Bonilla doing a solid job as well as the anchor for the team. The Mexicans dropping 5 into the 9 in that third end. Well, my Mexican's not great, or my Spanish is not great, but I think there's 1 point difference between the teams. That would mean that Munez's shot was marked down to a 9, not a 10 I thought it was, but we've got a real tight one here. Look at that, 170 for Colombia. They're right back in this. They trail by 1 to Mexico on 171. After 3 ends, we thought the Colombia were all at sea, but they're right back in this, trailing. They'll shoot first in the 4th and final end.
Disfrútala, Dani, vamos. Buen gancho. Cómodo, vamos.
I don't know if that was the camera angle or we could see a little bit of shaking there, but the nerves have really sort of crept up here. I think they all realise what is on the line and how open this is.
Muy bien, Pablo, eso es. Yes.
That was another fairly wild arrow, but again, we're not quite sure. That fell in a hole, and it could be a 10, but I think it might be a 9.
Buen gancho, como tú sabes.
Yes.
So, subject to a measure potentially marked as a 10 in venue. But I think they will be measuring these ones anyway, as it's the final end of the gold medal match here in the compound men's team.
Again, he looks solid and just dropped low. No real reason I can see for that, but sometimes you come off the pressure and that can drop it low. Solid, that's what they needed there. Just see the arrow drop off the shelf, pop it back on with your finger. Full draw, it's a good skill to have in these team rounds because you have not got time to come down and have another go. Especially when you're holding that long. But it's a 10.
So all square through the first half of the final end. Subject to confirmation of that second arrow being 10 for Colombia. So currently they potentially are trailing by 2.
Another liner. This is so close.
What's your feeling on that one? 10 or 9?
It's so hard to see because the angle we've got here of the arrow is kind of sticking up, so we can't quite see the line, but it's going to be another measure. Just got to keep it solid. Another 10.
Yeah, that one looked more solid for the youngster Gomez Zuluaga. Been very impressed by Juan Fernando Bonilla anchoring the Colombian team, but he's pulled that one massively wide.
Did you see his front arm? As the shot went off, he tried to pull it back over, and that's kind of just a reaction. He knew it was already, you know, pointed too far left, and he tried to pull it back, but it was just too late. You can't steer it after that time.
Yeah, steering it was definitely what we had, and as you said, that second arrow is marked for a 9, but so it could be up to 2:27. A solid start to the final 3 arrows from Antonio Hidalgo. Uriel Olvera with his last arrow. He's been solid too. So we've got an 8 to win here, and that's because that potential measure could put the Colombians on 2:27. So an 8 to confirm things. It's down to Miguel Becerra. Beautiful finish there. The time being counted down, putting more pressure on him seemingly. But Mexico have finished things off. A little wobble in the third, and then 5 out of the 6 shots in the fourth in the 10 ring. And it's Mexico with gold. Oh, Nicky, that third end was fascinating. Well, for the casual observer, the neutral, really brought something back into the match.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we thought Mexico were going away with it at the beginning there, and then Colombia looked so shaky, but then they pulled back really nicely through the middle of the match. What a nail biter we went into in that last end, and oh my goodness me, it was so tight, but what a brilliant match.
After such a tremendous performance from Juan Fernando Bonilla, the 26-year-old anchoring the Colombian team, he drifted that 8 out, and that really just opened the door massively.
Yeah, it looks unfortunate. You could just see he just wasn't aiming in the right spot. Its shot went off. He probably aiming left 8, and there it went. You know, there was nothing he could do about it. We could see the flags again there, blowing around a little bit. So whether, you know, he got shifted with the wind conditions, but yeah, it was such a shame because it could have really gone down to a tiebreaker there, couldn't it?
It really could have done it. It was so close. Good to see the Colombians fight back when they looked all at sea after 2. But it's Mexico with a compound men's team gold medal here in Guatemala City.